Henry David Thoreau went to the woods in 1845 because he wished to live deliberately. He built a cabin with his own hands, grew his own food, chopped his own wood, and he spent 2 years stripping his life down to what actually mattered. Then he wrote 350 pages about it. I just spent 12 days on a Holland America cruise ship in the North Atlantic, and I had a facial. I want to be clear, I have enormous respect for Thoreau. The man was onto something real, but I am 59 years old and my back is not what it was, and I have come to believe that deep thoughts and nice sheets are not mutually exclusive. Thoreau's argument, as best I understand it, and I'll be honest, I read it in high school and I'm currently watching the PBS documentary as research for this video, which I'm sure Thoreau would have feelings about. His argument was most of us are living quiet lives of desperation, going through the motions, accumulating things, performing busyness, never stopping long enough to ask whether any of it actually matters. He's certainly not wrong. He was not wrong in 1845, and he's definitely not wrong now. I just think he was unnecessarily committed to the mosquitoes and the Massachusetts humidity in July. There were other options, Henry. There were other options. Here's a partial inventory of my deliberate living on this crossing. I had sushi delivered to my cabin at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. I went to the thermal spa every evening, and there was the same naked man every single night, hands cupped over his, I'll say, twig and berries, for the 12 days. I never understood why he just didn't wear a towel, and I certainly never asked. Some mysteries you just leave alone. I had my first facial. I'm 59 years old and I've never had a facial in my life, and it was genuinely excellent. Afterwards, the esthetician sat me down and presented approximately $1,500 worth of creams and serums, and I, a man who genuinely struggles to say no to anyone, found somewhere inside myself the courage to decline that offer. I did, however, book another facial before disembarkation. I'm still working on the no thing. It's a process. And then there was the shore excursion. The advertised attraction was the Knights of the Round Table. The Knights of the Round Table's actual table, which I prepared to find meaningful until I learned that the carbon dating placed it around 1200 AD, which somehow makes it both genuinely ancient and also apparently a forgery. A 1,000-year-old forgery. I decided I could live without it, so I went to Costco instead. I want to be precise about this. As far as I know, there were no other Americans at this Costco. One American alone in a British Costco in Southampton, England, walking the aisles like an anthropologist. And I will tell you, you can learn a tremendous amount about culture from its Costco. The English, for instance, have a relationship with mayonnaise that I was not prepared for. I bought some clothes because that's what old men do at a Costco. We get our clothes from Costco. I'm not going to apologize for that. And then I bought some gifts for the crew of the Rotterdam, who had treated me so well. Because when someone remembers your name out of 2,500 other passengers, when your latte is waiting before you ask for it, you definitely want to say thank you to that. Thoreau was alone in the woods. I was not alone on this ship. And that turned out to matter more than I expected. I had a $1.50 hot dog in the parking lot, technically £1.50, which is more expensive, but felt more European, so I was fine with that. Thoreau would have wept. But here's the thing. Somewhere around day 4, something shifted. I stopped running the old software. The checking, the managing, the performing. The Atlantic is apparently one of the few things on Earth strong enough to interrupt that particular habit. And I started thinking, not productive thinking, not strategy, not planning, not what comes next, the other kind of thinking. The kind that only surfaces when there's nowhere to be and no way to leave, and the ocean goes to the horizon in every direction. I thought about aging, about what I'm actually afraid of, about work I'd walked away from and why, about what it means to feel like yourself versus performing a version of yourself that stopped fitting years ago. Heavy stuff arrived during a latte at 7 a.m. in the Crow's Nest on Holland America's Rotterdam, watching the North Atlantic sunrise. Not a bean field, not a cabin in the woods, but the same questions. Here's what I think Thoreau got right and what I think he got slightly wrong. He got right that most of us need a container, something that removes the ordinary scaffolding of our lives long enough for us to see what's actually underneath. The job, the title, the routine, the identity we've been maintaining on autopilot. Strip that all away, and something more honest surfaces. He was completely right about that. What I push back on, gently, with enormous respect, is the idea that the container has to be austere to work, that discomfort is the mechanism, that you have to earn the insight by suffering for it. My 59-year-old back slept on a very nice mattress with very nice sheets for 12 nights. I had a latte waiting for me every morning. I had a massage on Tuesday. I had that facial, the details of which I've covered. The insights came anyway. Maybe the thread count doesn't matter. Maybe what matters is just stopping, actually stopping, long enough for real questions to catch up with you. Thoreau stopped in the woods. I stopped on a ship. Different zip codes, same questions. I want to return briefly to the Costco because I think it actually proves the point. I skipped the approved, meaningful cultural experience, the ancient table, the sacred site, the thing I was supposed to find significant, and I went to a big box store and walked the aisles and bought clothes and gifts and ate a hot dog and observed the mayonnaise situation and came back to the ship that afternoon more settled than I'd left it. Fed, grounded, slightly ridiculous, completely myself. Maybe that's the whole thing. Not the cathedral, not the sacred site, not the approved, meaningful experience that someone else decided should matter to you. Just where you are most yourself. Even if that turns out to be a Costco in Southampton. Even if Thoreau would have had opinions about it. Thoreau left Walden after 2 years. Went back to Concord. Most people forget that part. He didn't stay in the woods forever. The woods were never the point. The point was what the woods did to him before he came back. I'm getting off this ship tomorrow, going back to land. Thoreau went to the woods, I got on a ship. He had a bean field, I had a drinks package and a Costco membership. We were both trying to figure out the same thing. The difference is he wrote better than I do, but I slept better than he did. And my skin after the facial is genuinely excellent.